All right, I want to welcome everyone to the eighth Space Education Summit. Ron and I are co-hosting today. Our co-host Gitika Gorthy isn't able to be with us right now, though we're hoping to hear from her later in the day, and want to welcome you all to the event. It is a really exciting time to host an event like this. We're really truly living at a time when what's happening in space exploration and space science feels like science fiction. We're now officially in a time when multiple commercial launch providers have reusable heavy lift spacecraft, and it's yesterday was just really quite a milestone with the New Glenn 2 flight successfully getting a interplanetary payload into orbit and landing the heavy lift booster successfully back here on Earth on a barge at sea. Just spectacular images to come out of that launch yesterday, and a real inspiration coming into this event today. And Ron and I were talking before this launch too. It was just a day full of space news with the Chinese the crew finding a way home, to simplify the headlines, and the Project Kuiper rebranding to Amazon Leo. There's a lot going on right now. Because, of course, we also live in a time when we've got broadband internet provided by constellations of satellites in orbit, and that changes between that and GPS affects nearly every industry here on Earth, changes geopolitical realities here on Earth. And as we move into a time when similar satellites might provide, say, space solar power to people here on Earth, that will change geopolitical realities even further. So, want to welcome you guys to this event. We've got a lot going on today. In fact, speaking of Blue Origin, we have a crew member from a new Shepard flight, and Blue Origin, speaking of science fiction, like headlines, continues to send people to space. Ron and I were talking about it also before we kicked off today. I think it's over a dozen flights for both, or at least a dozen flights for both Blue and Galactic. Something like 80 individuals have gone up on New Shepard, over 100 on Virgin. Although the Virgin Galactic astronauts here may know better than me. In fact, we have not just the panel, but Ron, my co-host Ron Rosano, is a flown Virgin Galactic astronaut as well. And Virgin is hard at work on the Delta class or second generation of their spacecraft. So I was just there at Spaceport America, in fact, on Friday with Ronnie, who's in attendance, and it's just awesome to see what they're still doing in this time of transition there at the New Mexico Spaceport Authority, and also on the Virgin Galactic side. Always to kick off this event too, I would like to at least introduce the overview effect for anyone who hasn't come across it yet, or really processed this yet. We will have Frank White, the author of the Overview Effect book from 1987. Frank White will join us for the closing space philosophy session today. But if you haven't come across his work or this term, the Overview Effect describes a common change in consciousness that people experience when they see the Earth from space. Certainly, photos like this have had an effect at a cultural level, but particularly for individuals who go to space and see the Earth from space, they tend to experience a change in consciousness where they look down and they don't see borders, and they don't see the tribes and conflicts down here. Instead, they see a sort of fragile ball of life that is spaceship Earth. And they tend to come back a little more concerned with things like the environment and diplomacy and getting along. So people have a different experience of this. I'm looking forward to hearing our panelists' experiences on their flights, but wanted to at least introduce the term because we will be talking about it a lot today. And this event, one of the purposes of this event is to help bring the overview effect to more people here on Earth. To perhaps bring us together and lead us toward a more hopeful future. So, that said, want to introduce my fellow organizers. Gitika Gorthy is a current Columbia University student. It's been fantastic to work with her on a number of past summits, and she's been instrumental in organizing this one as well. She also runs Ignited Thinkers, a nonprofit she founded when she was 13, I think, which is also got to be coming up on a decade. But if you get a chance, check out Getika's Ignited Thinkers YouTube channel because she's got a just spectacular selection of interviews there as well. And my co-host Ron Rosano is here now. He's in fact our Zoom host as well. And Ron, when I met Ron, and for a long time before, Ron was a Virgin Galactic future astronaut. But 2 years ago, Ron flew with Virgin, so he'll be sharing his perspective as a flown astronaut as well. Ron, do you want to say anything else before we go on?
Oh no, just thanks everyone for having for joining us, and looking forward to all our assessments today.
Cheers, and thanks as always for all of your help and work on this event. It's all volunteer work. And for my part, I am a lifelong space enthusiast, one-time high school English teacher, and career education technologist, now focused for the past 5 years entirely on space education. So you can find more of my work at arieslearning.com, and we'll share some resources later in the day as well. So let's talk about all of you. I definitely invite everyone to introduce themselves in the chat. It's been fantastic to see so many introductions go by as well, and hopefully I'll get a chance to read some more of these as we go. So do participate in the text chat. If you've got a question for the panel, we're going to have a nice long time for Q&A at the end of each panel. Do use the raise hand feature. However, that said, this tends to be a particularly polite and thoughtful group. So if it's an appropriate time to unmute and interject, feel free to do that. Otherwise, just wait to be invited. And if you do need any help, you can use the help feature built in here, or just send a message to Ron or I, and we are both hosts of the meeting, and we can help you out. If you use the help feature, that message will go to Ron. Any questions before we get started?
I'll just throw in one correction. Galactic sent 37 people and to space, so it's 117 combined between
Gotcha.
Blue
I
and
misunderstood.
Galactic.
Yeah, that's a
117. Yeah,
change in
suborbital.
magnitude there, huh?
So yeah, out of 760 or so people total in history. So that number is growing, and someday I think we'll surpass the people that have flown in orbit. So we'll see.
Yeah, if certainly if they hit their goals over the next couple of years. Ron, do you want to share your suborbital spaceflight journal before I
Oh,
introduce the panelists?
yeah, I'll just put that in the chat. So if anybody's interested in learning more about these suborbital flights by Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin, um, or the history of suborbital flights that happened in the 60s, going back to the very first flights from NASA on Shepard and Gus Grissom worked those suborbital flights. I'm keeping track of those in an online database. Karsen and Andy and Irving are all included in there. And that's the full list of everybody that's flown suborbitally. And it's been fun keeping that up. So I just put the link in the chat. Thanks, Mark.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'm seeing more introductions. See somebody from Guatemala, and somebody mentioning the Goddard Day on March 16th. It's the centennial of Robert Goddard's first chemical rocket that sort of kicked off the modern space age. So hope you're all planning on participating in that and sharing it with your students in your community. All right.
Yeah.
No further ado. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists. Ron and I have a couple of questions prepared for them, and then we're going to open up to everyone for a little Q&A. And in a few minutes, we'll share the schedule link. If you haven't looked at it already, you can see everybody's full bio there. But in short, Andy Sadhwani from Virgin Galactic's '07 flight is a lifelong space enthusiast and Trekkie. to note, he's a mechanical and aerospace engineer, currently a propulsion engineer at SpaceX. So he's got multiple perspectives on the commercial space flight industry, and we're excited to hear his experience. And then Karsen Kitchen from the New Shepard 26 flight is the youngest woman to ever cross the Kármán line. She is now a graduate at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in communications and astronomy. And I love in her bio, she talks about space initiatives that inspire, inform, and innovate. And I hope we're not too far from that today. Thanks for being here, Karsen. And Irving Pergament, also Andy's crewmate on Virgin Galactic, the Galactic 07 mission, is himself, in addition to a real estate developer, he's a certified airline transport pilot. He donates his time and his aircraft to flying children in need of urgent medical attention through the Angel Flight organization. He's also a benefactor for underprivileged children at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel, if I've got that all right. So they're each going to have an opportunity to introduce themselves as well. And actually, I'm going to close the slides here and just pin them for the recording, and we can all see them speaking full screen. You can set that however you like on your end of the Zoom. But to kick it off, I'm going to ask them the same welcome question I asked everybody in the chat, which is, what is the trajectory that brought you here? What was your path that brought you to space and ultimately to a space education event? If you want to run with that metaphor a little bit, I always like to ask, uh, who is it that may have given you a gravity assist along the way and changed your trajectory? Sometimes it's a teacher or mentor or somebody else in your life that may have changed your trajectory. But I'll give you each an opportunity to kind of share your story. Ron's got a couple of questions for you after that before we open up to the Q and A. So because it's on the slide this way, maybe we'll just start with Andy and work our way across. But I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that we can see the speaker's full screen.
Great.
All
Andy,
right.
go ahead.
Yeah. So, Dr. Wagner, Ron, thank you so much for introducing all of us. So, what got me interested in space was actually my second grade teacher. She put up pictures of the planets, and I always wondered what would it be like to live on those various planets, or visit them. So that got me interested. And then my mom, who's actually on today's call as well, would record the space shuttle launches, and I used to watch them when I would get home and play them over and over and over again and memorize the sequences. And then when I was in graduate school, I in my dorm room I saw uh, Scaled Composites launch the first vehicle to space and back twice, and that really got me excited into hybrid rocketry. So that's what I studied in graduate school, and then I eventually got to fly on Virgin Galactic, which does hybrid rocketry, and that also spawned my career in aerospace, where I've been for about 20 years.
That's awesome. All right, we will move forward then. And Karsen, I've found you here among the others, and I am going to pin you as well so we can pin you. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karsen. Thanks for having me today. Um, I have been interested in space since I was a child. I would always go outside and just look up and wonder what lies beyond our planet and kind of how space works, the physical and chemical processes of that. I was just always really interested in everything that had to do with space. I guess as a middle schooler and even a high schooler, I was not very confident that I'd be able to make it into the space industry because the message around that and the dialogue around that was that you'd have to be at the top of your class, you'd be Albert Einstein level in order to be successful in the space industry. So I definitely had a long journey with that. And then when I was in college, I decided to study astronomy and got the chance to fly with Blue Origin and started my own club on campus that was for students who weren't involved with STEM or astronomy, but were always really interested in it. And so I think initiatives like this are I'm very much drawn to them because any chance I have to help students that kind of feel the same way that I do, like they're not going to be smart enough or they're not a part of themselves isn't good enough to succeed. Any chance I can to kind of reverse that in their mind is very attractive to me because I want to help kids like that would experience things that I did.
I love it. That is well aligned with what we're trying to do here. Like we really want everyone to see that space is for everyone. Whatever your
Mhm.
strengths and passions are, there's a place for you to get involved in this growing space economy. So thanks for kicking us off on that note.
Of course.
And I am going to Irving, I think you're connected twice here, but hopefully I'm going to get the right one. And she'll pin you, and we'd love to hear your trajectory as well. You may have to unmute.
That's the problem. Uh,
Ah,
uh,
gotcha. We hear you fine.
you hear me? Okay,
All good.
so guys, thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. Ron, thank you, Ron. I am so glad to be here and tell you that my life was surrounded the skies. As a kid, I was dreaming, flying and flying, and I became at 18, I became a pilot, and I was flying for many, many years and enjoying the air until I got to Russia and I was flying a MiG-29 and I went all the way up to 65,000 feet and saw the curve of the earth. Wow. At this point, I was sure I want to see myself going out to space. So I heard about Virgin Galactic and I was pursuing it very, very strongly. And here we go. I had a dream come true after the great people of Virgin Galactic that we trained, and we had a beautiful, beautiful time bonding with the crew and getting to space. It was a dream come true. Thank you.
Awesome. And even with the echo, I'm glad we can hear you today, and we got that sorted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Ron has got a couple of questions for the panel, and then I've got one, and we will switch it over to the Q&A after that in a few minutes. But Ron, fire away.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Well, great to have you all. Thanks so much for being here. And it was, it's a dream. Thinking, Andy, about your family's heritage in India and Irving's your family's heritage in Europe and Carson. And I'm thinking your family's heritage, based American, like you saw your dad fly. So, Andy and Irving, you came from you didn't really know each other, I think, before the flight, but could you comment on how the flight kind of brought you together, as a crew and as friends? Uh, it seemed like that developed in a really unique way, and you guys had a great bond,
Yeah,
the two and the
absolutely.
rest of your crew.
And and first of all, Carson, congratulations on flying with your father. I thought that was so inspirational. Um, and to echo what Irving said, it's like Virgin Galactic, and Blue do such an amazing job curating flights, as well as SpaceX too. Um, and as far as our crew, so Irving, Giorgio, Tuva, and I all came from different parts of the world, and we had dinners together and we learned about each other. And everybody was different personality wise. And I kind of actually see Irving as the leader of our group. There was a time when we were all walking separately, and Irving said, everybody stop. Let's all walk together. We're one team. So we all said, okay, well, how do we do this? So we locked arms, put our arms around each other's shoulders, and then we walked in unison. And so I think after that point in our training, maybe it was like the second or third day, we did that through the flight, and that really integrated us as a team. Giorgio from Italy was like the choreographer, so he kind of helped everybody think about the moves in space and what we're going to do and how we're going to celebrate each other. And we had this moment when we were in space when we all held hands and kind of did this like dance to celebrate each other. And Tuva was our scientist. He was our our scientist astronaut that was doing real work. And we were very supportive of him. So we all brought something different. And for me, as an aerospace engineer and analyst, I was taking in the experience to bring it back to where I work for the rockets that I build.
Irving, we're not hearing you. Oh, yeah, we'd just like to.
Oh, shoot.
Let's see.
Irving, you may have to unmute the other device there.
Yeah. Yeah, was that unexpected? And Carson, what was it like for you and your crew? Did you come together in ways that you didn't expect to?
Absolutely. I think flying to space is one of the most vulnerable things that you can do with someone, honestly. I have a similar experience to Andy where I didn't really know anybody before, or we didn't know each other before we walked into that training room. And walking into that training room, we could like tell upon 30 minutes to an hour of getting to know each other that we all come from very different walks of life. And the only thing that was really bringing us together was our passion for space and how much we wanted this experience. And throughout training with someone, and I'm sure Andy and Irving can attest to this, training with someone to go to space to experience that is also, you fail as a team or you succeed as a team. No one takes blame for anything. If someone does something wrong, it's everyone's fault. And so you kind of have to learn to be one hive mind and one cohesive person. But also just going to space with them is, I mean, I have a bond with those people that I won't have with anybody else. And I mean, it's not like I talk to these people every day or maybe even every week or month, but like every time I talk to them and every time I see them, it's like nothing's ever changed. And I think I could go years without seeing them or talking to them, and I would see them and it was like, we'd seen each other yesterday. But anyway, I think that is going to space is such a vulnerable thing, and having that experience, I mean, talking about the overview effect, I mean, it's really emotional, honestly. It's more emotional than I thought it was going to be. And so being able to share that with the people that you've trained with, and that are watching you undergo this huge transformation in your life really bonds you together. Also, I think there's also kind of like hey, like what we're doing right now is kind of dangerous and there's a lot of risks to this. So we all gotta have each other's backs, and it's kind of a family. I would say it's not kind of a family, it is a family. But it's a really interesting bond that I didn't really experience, or that I didn't really expect to experience out of that.
Cool. Irving? Yeah. I think you're still muted there.
I don't know if you can unmute. It looks like your other device may be disconnected.
Oh, there you go.
How about now?
Hey, that's
Great, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Finally. Anyway, I don't know how much you heard, but it's, I'm going to continue with Andy telling about the friendship. We met the first time we met in the hotel and we didn't know each other. And all I know, after all the training and everything, we bonded right in space by hugging each other and having a great time, and Giorgio screaming like from his lungs. And it was absolutely amazing. And for me, the dream is to repeat it. And I would like to go again. And whatever I missed, I want to corner now and see if I can absorb more of the space time.
I'm guessing that even though you all came from different backgrounds and different generations, really, that there's some common ideas or takeaways that you've had. And do you want to maybe talk a little bit about how the spaceflight experience has changed you in any certain ways?
I want to add something more. I want to
Yeah,
add,
please.
please. I want to add that the team of Virgin Galactic was excellent, accommodating, and without them, this whole ordeal would not be as good and as nice as this group. This is a group of people that care and gave us everything we needed and more. So I would like to express that very, very much. It's a great group.
And I can second that, having just been there on Friday with a group of educators and enthusiasts. Everybody there is so generous and so dedicated to the mission. It's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, I've heard the very same about all the people at Launch Site 1 with Blue Origin. Do you feel connected to all the people there on site, Karsen?
Oh, absolutely. They're willing to do anything for you, almost to where I'm like, I'm sorry, like you don't have to do that. Like I can do it myself, like I promise. Like yeah, to the point where I kind of felt bad. I was like, you don't need to do this much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're great. Everyone there just loves their job so much, and that's something I find about the space industry is everyone here just loves their job. Everyone here is just so passionate about space, and it's one of the reasons why I love this industry.
Yeah. So do you all feel like the experience has changed you in certain ways? Yeah, go ahead. You want to elaborate maybe?
Any order is fine.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'll start. I think I take life a little bit more lightheartedly. As an analyst, I'm very specific about details. I'm always on time to meetings. But now after the flight, I tend to be a little bit more relaxed and see the bigger picture. I have a tighter bond with humanity. So like looking at the Earth and seeing how fragile the planet is, or at least how it looks in space. It's a very, very thin atmosphere that covers our massive, massive planet. And just seeing just how the countries and states are all connected. I didn't really see any borders. And then also just a better understanding of physics. So like I work at SpaceX on Raptor developing like our Mars engine and hopefully to get back to the moon as well soon. So to be able to experience the feeling of acceleration, like the acceleration loading, the G loading, the aerodynamic buffeting, like during entry, the zero gravity or the microgravity, that weightlessness, and hearing the sounds. Whenever I'm designing the engines, I can become the engine and say, okay, I'm the engine. I'm going to be experiencing this heavy aerodynamic loading, heating, acceleration. What do I need to do to make myself the best product possible? So that kind of like thought experiment, which Richard Feynman kind of alluded to in terms of like, when he was, developing, products, for the U.S. government back in the day, as well as, developing theory about, stellar happenings. Doing those thought experiments, it really, quite helped with that, with my imagination.
I can go next. I
Good.
I think going to space it is I think the overview effect really amazes me because what I experienced felt like my brain chemistry changed. Like it wasn't even, something that your perspective changed, but it was actually neurological. I allude going to space to like meeting the author, like a meet and greet on it almost. Being able to look down at this planet that is just so incredible and huge, but also so small at the same time, and being able to see that against the contrast of just the vastness and blackness of space is really incredible and it's awesome, for lack of better words. But it really amazed me, and I think that the one of the biggest things that I took, from going to space was just how grateful it made me. I think I share Andy's sentiment that it made me kind of just take life just a more lighthearted. But I think really it just made me grateful because, I was able to look down, at our planet. And at the time I was taking this class that was like the history of Earth the history of Earth. It was talking about the evolution of just how Earth has come to be what it is today. And, I was thinking in my mind that this planet has existed for 4.5 billion years, and that humans have really only existed for 300,000 of them. And just how lucky I am just to be able to be on this planet at all, the chance I have to experience this entire world and have free will. And I can just jump on a plane tomorrow and go to Africa if I wanted to. I can just exercise my free will, and I can really explore as much as I want of it. And so I think it just kind of made me happier, honestly, and just made me feel grateful. Like, even, and when times get tough, just to have the chance to experience tough times at all is just really awesome. And I think it just made me take every day and take everything with a grain of salt and just be very grateful.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Karsen. Irving, what you feel changed from the experience?
Well, all I learned is the sky is not the limit. You you do things in your life, and you always, I don't know about other people, but myself, I want to reach heights all the time. I never gave up on getting, reaching certain points in my life. And it started with aviation, and then my dream was to get to space. And I don't know about my age, but maybe one day get to the moon. It's a dream. Ron, I don't know. You're looking at me, but I'm still dreaming, so dream is a good thing. But I want to go back and get you a little bit of my thinking, because I am a pilot. And we did all the training and everything, and I know the vehicle, and I know the rocket, and I saw the rocket and everything. I know in my heart, and I did not share it with my group because I didn't want them to worry about it. But I was, because, flying up to 45,000 feet, it's not a problem. I fly the day in and day out. It's not the problem. The problem is when you fire the rocket, you have to make sure the weather is good before the drop. The weather is good, and you're going to reach space. Then you have to pray that the rocket has enough power in it to bring us to space. Okay? I wasn't worried going back down. I was worried getting there and doing all those things that we did and all the training and not reach space wasn't something, was my worry. But at the moment we got to space and we were floating, I was in heaven.
It is great to hear all those perspectives, and thanks, Ron, for putting those questions together. And I know that's informed by your experience too. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I just want to plug our YouTube channel. We've got almost 100 videos there from past summits, and Ron speaks eloquently about his flight. But Ron, if there's anything you want to add to that before my question, and then we'll do the Q&A.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think it's interesting that in talking to people that have flown for both Blue and Galactic, as disparate as their histories or backgrounds are, we're finding a lot of these common takeaways or threads from our experiences. Like I absolutely agree with Andy feeling more relaxed about things, and like Karsen feeling grateful for the opportunity. I remember talking to Andy before his flight and thinking that, oh my God, what an incredible thing that is happening. There's 750 people that have done this out of 8 billion on the planet. And Andy was like, oh yeah, that's 1 in 10 million. So, for the random path of life that takes you from one thing to another to end up with that opportunity is it's just like such a remarkable thing. And Yeah, Irving, that's exactly right. It's like it's a dream come true, and you know, I think to it's good to stay uh, in that line of thought and say and keep dreaming. You know, you never know. I never expected to be able to fly uh, in my life, and there it worked out. So yeah,
Yeah,
um,
that struck me too, the keep dreaming.
yeah.
Well, I want to leave plenty of time for Q&A, but I do have to ask the one question I love asking in these situations, and you all bring such different perspectives to it. But it's a design thinking question in a way. So, how might we best prepare students for the growing space economy and humanity's future in space? So, if you have thoughts about how we might prepare students to be a part of all of this and take advantage of all of this, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I'll start. So first of all, if I could, I would take everybody in this group together to space right now. It's really incredible experience. Um, I've worked in the aerospace industry for about 20 years, and what I found is that um, you can come from many different backgrounds to build spacecraft. At SpaceX or Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic or all these other companies. So you don't have to be a genius at math or like ace all of your exams. You just have to have a passion for space and be really interested in 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 the field and just be really good at what you do. So just kind of being passionate about the projects that you're working on, whether it's a design project or learning more about how stars work or how to build things. So like at our company, I'm kind of like overlooking like the Raptor production floor. We have engineers that are good at designing things. We have good engineers that are good at calculations, which is me. We have technicians that are great at putting things together. We have people that like building Lego sets, and then now they make the instructions for the engine that are kind of like how you put Legos together. So um, everybody here, including like at Blue and Virgin and Rocket Lab and all these other places, there's so many different ways to get in, and it's just about I think being passionate. Really would love to hear what Karsen, Irving, and Ron think as well.
I can go. I think,
Yeah,
well,
please.
obviously, I think my background is, it's just kind of an exemplar of that message that space is for everyone. I literally studied communications. Well, I did study astronomy. I studied communications, and in college, and now I'm on full track to join the space industry. But I also think that, the space is for everyone, and this is what I'm going to say about it. There's going to be a time in the future, I don't know when, but when we're going to have to build a civilization on the moon, on Mars, whatever it may be, in space. And one of the big parts of civilization is obviously understanding the engineering, the math, the science, all behind that. That's definitely necessary. So if that's the way you want to go that way. But also a big thing about humanity and civilization is the culture. And the culture is not all, it's not all mathematical. It's not all scientific. It's a lot of, how do we think about art in space? How do we think about, what communication looks like in space? How do we think about the legal frameworks of space? How do we think about the financial, whatever it may be, linguistic? What language are we going to speak in space if we have people from all different
Mhm.
areas of the world? And so people who have a really good understanding of those different, you know, of those different areas of culture and just are people that, come from all walks of life are going to be necessary to build a culture in space because we're going to try to replicate the one on Earth. And everyone here in this call has a different background and has different likes and dislikes and all comes from different walks of life. So I think that, do what you want, find what you think is interesting and run with that. And if you want to relate it back to space, I'm going to assure you right now that there's absolutely a way that you can connect the two. When I told people that I studied communications and astronomy, they looked at me like I had three eyes. Like those are completely different sides of the spectrum. But here I am, like putting them together. So it's really anything is possible.
Yeah, I mean, now there's a career to be had being a science communicator or an astronomy communicator, right? Um, and I think you've hit on an important theme of the day because it's not just the space science panel that's up next, but we've got education and careers and experiences and philosophy rounding out the day. So yeah, those sort of cultural elements are going to be important. It's not just test pilots and engineers anymore. Right? But Irving, your thoughts on how we might prepare students?
Anything you're telling your grandkids?
Oh, I love it.
Well, I think that, now as we're in a different kids that go to school today, starting to learn more about space because we opened the vehicles to get to space. Years ago, when I was a kid, they did not talk about space, or maybe they did and I didn't hear about it. But today, in this era, that companies are searching or racing for bringing people to space, you open up a new thing for everybody. Space. I always dreamed about space, and as a kid, I wanted to fly, but I didn't reach my mind to get to space. I was happy to be in the skies, but today is different, and we should in school and all over to learn about space. And I believe that my kids, my grandkids, are now into space just because I went to space, and they come up with those questions and all those things about space, and it absolutely makes me feel great.
I love it. Back to the dream theme there and always pushing forward. Well, we've got about a quarter hour left, and I want to open it up to questions from other participants. So I'm going to check the chat here. Definitely, you can throw a question in the chat if you've got one for the group, or raise your hand, and we will do our best to curate this. But oh, here, Drew's got a question here. Oh, Drew, do you mind speaking up? Do you want to go on mic and ask your question?
Sure, I'm happy to. Can you hear
Thank you.
me?
Yes.
So my question is, Karsen talked a bit about how emotional the experience was, and I'm sure it absolutely was. So I was just curious if you could bottle up one of those emotions and replay it again, which one would it be and why?
I think, well, I think a lot of people in this call that are space nerds have been wanting to go to space for their entire life. And I think combined with the fact that I was like, I'm never gonna be able to go to space. Not only that, but like I'll never get a job in the space industry to like be able. I kind of had an out-of-body experience where I'm like, I'm looking at myself in a spaceship right now. Like, what is happening? Like, like even thinking about it now, like you can see I'm still like flabbergasted by the chance I had to go to space because what? Like, how does that work? Okay. Anyway, I think, that all not only was like, oh my God, I'm achieving the biggest dream of my entire life, and like this is about to change my life forever. Like it's kind of just an emotional experience in general in that way. But I also think like being able to look at Earth, it's like it literally is like meeting your maker. It's like being able to look down at like this home that everybody, everything that's ever existed that we know of has existed on this planet, that will live and will die on this planet. And that in itself is very emotional because I mean you can look down and just see the cycle of life. You can see evolution take place. You can see like just how beautiful this planet is and like the curvature of the earth and the glow of the atmosphere and against I said this before, but against like this black, just a vast gap of nothingness, it's like, oh my God, it's a party down here. That's so exciting and so emotional. I don't know. That might not answer your question, or that might not be a good enough answer for you, but I don't know. It's just emotional, I think, for a lot of reasons, but those are the reasons I want to hit on.
Oh, I love it. And you really highlighted the image behind both of you there. It really doesn't do justice to the blackness, does it? But Andy, did you have anything you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, I really felt what Karsen was saying. I think for me, the moment that was so magical was when we were accelerating. We were going straight up and accelerating. We were experiencing 3G, so it feels like kind of like there's a an elephant on your chest. And then the rocket motor turns off, and then all of a sudden you go from 3Gs to zero. And I'm counting the seconds because like Irving was saying earlier, we need to burn long enough to get to our destination. And feeling, that joy of that feeling of going from 3Gs to zero, it felt so liberating. And I unbuckled the belt, and when I looked out the window, the first words out of my mouth were, "Oh my God!" And I'm not the most religious person, but it was so stunning, like how bright and blue and how large the planet was against this, darkness of space, kind of like the gap that Karsen was talking about. I mean, it's such a high contrast. I've seen many space films and seen pictures of the Earth, but nothing compares to actually seeing it in person. So I'm excited for you all to go. So I think that was just so magical. It's like the image of the Earth is basically ingrained in the back of my eyes. So I can just close my eyes and there it is. Pretty cool.
That's awesome. How about you, Irving? Anything to add to that?
Well, as Andy said, as soon after the 3Gs, with the rocket coming about and getting into space and then starting floating, you reach to the window and you look down and say, wow, I saw many corners of the earth, but I never saw things like that. It was amazing. It was like a dream. I was dreaming, and I was in such a dream. Then when we landed and they asked me, so what did you see? I say, I'm still processing in my mind what I saw. And it's tremendous. And the feelings and I'm getting was a wind down that took me about a month to wind down from this trip. Amazing. And the feeling is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I've heard Ron speak too about how that processing changes over time, and seen that in him. But we've got a couple of other great questions in the chat right now. So Heather, if you want to come in on mic and ask your question, and then we'll go to Elena.
There. Good morning, everyone. My question is for all of you. When will you decide what your next flights will be? And also, what would you like to do on those particular flights, such as science or any particular research? I'm genuinely curious. Thank you so much. Bye.
Well, I would love to fly again. It'd be awesome to take my mom with me. So she's been such an inspiration to to myself, and to have her share the experience would be amazing. I think like if I were to go, say orbital one day and I had a little bit more time, I would perhaps work with the elementary schools and figure out in high schools and middle schools and figure out maybe some experiments that we could do and try to cram as many as we could in the 3.5 days, in orbit. For suborbital, I would have to think about that. Maybe Karsen or Irving would have a good idea on that one.
No, I don't know. I did some with kids. I did some speeches with kids, but yeah, time is the issue. I don't have a lot of time, but I do the best I can. And I know when I speak to kids, they open their eyes that they're like, they're feeling my dream. So I'm so happy, you know.
Thanks for doing that. Go, Carson.
I want to go back. I don't know when or where, but somewhere. I think I want to go. Well, I was about to say go to the International Space Station, but I feel like by the time I would be able to go to the International Space Station, it won't exist anymore. So I'm gonna say go to some type of space station. That would be really awesome. I am really interested in um, how reproductive genes change in space. I think that's a really important type. That's a really important type of like human biology. Just figuring out, how continuing our civilization in space, how that happens, and all the ins and outs of that. But I think that's really interesting to me. Also, yeah, I agree with Andy. I'd like to take some like CubeSats up there, like academic CubeSats. I know that like the club that I founded at UNC, they're trying to apply to NASA's student whatever it is, where they send the satellite up to space on a Falcon 9. I would want to take one of those, represent some Tar Heel pride, but I think just also selfishly, I just want to go back just so I can see it again. I think that space is one of those things where, after you go, you're like, or before you go, you think that you're gonna be like, oh, I went to space, like I got what I needed, but that is completely opposite than what actually happens. You go, you get down, and immediately you're like, I need to go back, like I have to go back. So yeah.
I love it. That's Ron. That's got
Thanks.
echoes of Chris Bosshausen saying his explorer gene was turned on. He wanted to keep
Yeah,
going that
yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Hey, Mark, I see we have a question from the classroom there,
yeah, let's go to
and
Elena first.
and a hand
Elena is a
raised. Yeah.
student herself, and then we can go to the classroom.
Okay.
So Elena, if you want to come on mic,
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me all right?
we got you.
Okay, so I'm a high school student right now, and I still have around 2 years until I finish high school. But ever since I was really young, I've always been interested in space. And like sometimes I told my friends that I wanted to go to space or work in something related to it. And it was always like one of the most unrealistic dreams in my friend group. So it always felt like I couldn't actually reach it. And I was wondering if like you had any advice for students like me who want to do something related to it but feel like it's unreachable.
So yeah, I'd like to chime in. Elena, thanks so much for your question. I felt similarly when I started, and I think that the things that helped me was like if we look at flying into space, so like there are uh, you know, having somebody fly you, so somebody sponsor you, and then the other way is to kind of save up for a really long time. That's what I did. I ended up saving for about 20 years, like squirreling away and investing money over and over until I had enough money.
Mm.
And then to go to the other part, which was
Hey,
how
Princess,
do I
what can
work
I
in
do for you
space?
today?
All right, so as I said, I'm attending this Space Education Summit where
Oh,
Um,
sorry, if you guys can mute if you're not speaking. Sorry, Andy.
Oh, you're good. And then as far as like, getting into space, what I would recommend is if you have the opportunity to join a group at high school or even make a group at high school where you can work on space related ideas and themes, you could put that on your resume. And then in college, keep doing, satellites or rockets or spacesuits or anything related to space. And then when you're looking at applying to jobs, you can kind of like browse the websites of companies that you'd like to work for, and you can see what keywords that are on there. And then you could make it like kind of like a fake resume and say, okay, this is what I need. And you find activities that you can do to actually fill that in and kind of pen that in.
I would say just hone. I think whatever, but like all what Andy said is that I'm definitely accurate, and that's great advice. I also say would like hone that interest of yours because that goal and that motivation and that interest is gonna get you far. But what will get you farther is like you wanting to prove that to yourself that you can do it, and you owing that to yourself. So I think really hone that interest, and also I went through a time where I was like, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I have to give this dream up. And then, what really brought me back was like, I can't imagine living my life without space. And so that's just kind of a personal sentiment. But I also think, everything Andy said and, really getting involved with whatever kind of academic institution you're part of, whether that be like Science Olympiad, I did that in high school. I wasn't very good at it, but I did it. And, in college, I took as many classes that I could relating to astronomy and just kind of went through that process. If you're trying to get into the space industry and if you're wanting to do something like engineering, there's definitely paths for that. But just finding community is also a really, really, really a big part of that. I think a part of the space industry that I didn't really expect was like in order to get places, you have to bring yourself there, absolutely, but also knowing people, just networking in general is really important. And like I wouldn't have gotten here without the help of my community and my network of people. And just so networking as much as you can, joining things like this. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of already on the right path.
I love it. Irving, anything to add to that? And then we'll go to the classroom question
Well,
here.
I think that the future is showing that young people that really want to get to space, they go to college and learning about space. It's going to be financial wise, it's going to be a lot cheaper to go to space. So the future is good. So keep dreaming and you get there.
That's a great note to end that on. All right, we are going to hear a question from the classroom here. We've only got a couple minutes left to answer it. I'll share a few resources, but I'll do that after the hour during the break before the next session. But if you guys can unmute there in the classroom.
Yeah, thanks. And tell us where you're from. Where are you?
Hi, we are a grade 6 classroom from Brampton, Ontario, Canada. This is Viraj.
Awesome.
She has a question for you.
Fabulous.
What were some of the hardships you faced in space, Carson, as the youngest woman in space?
So, Carson, the question is directly for you. He's asking, what were some of the hardships you faced as the youngest woman to ever be in outer space?
I think that a lot, something I even experience to this day is people are like, you were 21 when you went to space. How do you possibly deserve that? Because there's a lot of people who go to space who've worked their entire life to earn that, and I guess that's something I, you know, I kind of sometimes had to ask myself is like, why am I here? Okay, I don't want to get like too personal, but I guess that was, hard for me, just, finding that imposter syndrome. It was kind of more of like a mental battle, like, I got to prove myself to this community, and I think I have. But anyway, I mean, also there are physical parts of going to space, like experiencing G forces. Also, Blue Origin would kill me if I told you guys this, but I actually got stuck in my seat when I was in space. So my straps got stuck, and I was unable to get out of my seat, and it was like really painful. And this is another reason why I bonded so much with my crew is because I had one of my crew members come over and rip me out of my seat. And I hit the top of the capsule and I got a couple bruises, but so I guess that was kind of a physical hardships. But I guess it was also scary sometimes. I mean, you're launching yourself in like a can that's being propelled by TNT. Like that's definitely risks inherently along with that. But I think that I guess the hardship is, that's how I started my career. That's how I started my life. And so I feel like immense pressure to like continue to succeed. And I can't do anything less than that. But yeah, I feel good. And I think that experience, while it had hardships, I took only positives from that, other than a couple of bruises.
Well, thank you, Karsen, for answering their question, and thank you to everyone who contributed questions, and thank you, Andy and Irving, too. It's been fantastic to have you guys on. I am going to briefly share my screen again to bring the session to a close, but we have the applaud hands, or you guys can do it on camera, but let's hear it for our panelists. Thank you to Irving and Andy and Karsen, and to Ron for co-hosting the panel with me. I want to share just a couple of resources here, and we're taking a 10-minute break before the space science panel. But for those of you that are hoping to leave with some space education resources, I want to, of course, recommend my own book on the topic, which you can pick up at Amazon. And I'm actually going to pop into the chat right now and drop two links in. One is the Amazon link, and one is just the free PDF if that's going to be more useful to you. Also want to draw attention to the space education curriculum from the Space Prize Foundation. This was sort of built on the back of writing the book a few years back, but it is an open education resource that everyone has access to. It's meant for high school students, but certainly you can use it with anybody that's got the interest level and reading level, and you can still find that at spaceeducation.org. I'm also putting in the direct link at CK12, which is a great open education resource in itself. If you're interested in going deeper on those ideas, I run an online course. It was designed as professional development for educators, but at least half the participants are enthusiasts from other walks of life. I'm going to run a new cohort in January, so if you just go to arieslearning.com/course, that will get you there. I will drop that link in here too, just to make it easy for you guys. And there we are. And I had mentioned a couple of times while we were talking that I also take educators, enthusiasts, and anyone out to Spaceport America. Kirby and I, Dr. Kirby Runyon, who's on our next panel, who's a astrogeologist, a planetary scientist. He and I are taking educators and enthusiasts out again, probably in March, but we just got back. So you can learn more about it at this link, which is arieslearning.com/Earth and Space, which I will also drop into the chat. Although I just realized I'm cutting and pasting the dates because you guys just missed it, but you can get on the waiting list right now at the site. I want to invite everyone in terms of free resources to join the Facebook group that we created in the wake of one of these earlier summits. So a couple hundred educators there sharing some of them prolifically various space education resources. You can find some of the resources I just shared pinned there, and there's a lot of others, many of them international resources as well. So I will drop the Space Educator Network in the chat. Oh, in fact, I already did. And somebody asked earlier about our YouTube channel. We have just about 100 videos up there already. We should be there by the end of the day, actually. Might take me a couple days to get them loaded, but you can find all of our past astronaut panels, all of the past closing sessions with Frank White, talking about the overview effect, and all of our breakout sessions from past summits at the YouTube channel at the link that I dropped in the chat. Now, if you want to see the schedule for the rest of the day, a little bit of a long link, but spaceeducation.squarespace.com/schedule, and that will show you our schedule of panels coming up today. In just a few minutes here, we're going to drop into the space science panel with Dr. Pamela Gray, astronomer, Dr. Graham Lau, our astrobiologist or the cosmobiologist, and Dr. Kirby Runyon, planetary scientist and astrogeologist. Will be joining us for our space science panel. After that, we've got an educator panel, we've got a space careers panel, a space experiences panel, and finally the space philosophy panel with Frank this afternoon. So hope you guys will be back for some of those. For right now, I'm going to stop the recording and we will kick off again at about 9:10 for the space science panel. But thank you again to our panelists, Irving and Andy and Karsen, and thanks, Ron, for kicking off the day with me.